Hello everyone, welcome back to my channel. Today I want to revisit a classic. This was one of the first videos I ever made about linear programming, an introductory example of a linear programming problem in Excel. But when I recorded it for the first time, I was using some really bad free screen recorded that kept a watermark on the screen. The quality was terrible. I had to break it down into two parts. Overall, wasn't very good. But those two parts of this example still get a lot of hits on YouTube for some reason. So I'm not going to delete them, but I want to make a more modernized, better single part video of this example because I think it's a very nice example, a very first, an introductory example that can be used if you're showing this to somebody for the very first time. I have another example of this sort, which is a good first example, which is a Lego furniture problem, which I'm going to link in the description below. So this one and that one are two good ones to begin with. Excuse me. So let's get started. Here's the story. Let's say there's a farmer and they own 45 acres of land where they can plant one of two crops, wheat and corn. To plant these crops, they're going to use two resources, labor and fertilizer. Right? Every acre planted with wheat needs 3 units of labor. You can think of that as workers or hours. And 2 units, in this case, tons of fertilizer. The corresponding numbers for corn are 2 units of labor and 4 of fertilizer. Each acre you plant with wheat and corn, after all costs are taken out, let's say when you harvest and everything, will give you a profit of $200 for every acre of wheat and $300 for every acre of corn. We currently have already paid for 100 workers and 120 tons of fertilizer. So we don't have to worry about the costs of those. The question then is, if you are the farmer, how should you use your land? How to plant wheat and corn? More specifically, how many acres of each should you plant in order to maximize your profit? So in class, we go over the math for this problem. But here, I have it written down. I'm going to briefly go over the math and focus on the Excel. Later on, I may make a video of just the math part, more slowly and more detail. Here's the math. So there are 2 unknowns in this problem, right? 2 numbers that I don't know now, but I want to figure out. And they are how many acres to plant with wheat and how many acres to plant with corn. So I'm going to make 2 variables. The W variable, acres for wheat, and the C variable, acres for corn. And because I have 3 resources, I'm going to have 3 constraints of the form what you use of this is at most what you have of it. So for example, here we have 100 workers at most. Well, when I plant W acres with wheat, each of them needs 3 workers, right? And each acre of corn needs 2 workers. So every W times 3 workers plus every acre of corn times 2 workers, this gives me the total usage of labor. And that usage is at most the availability of labor. I can do a similar thing for fertilizer. Wheat and corn use 2 and 4 tons each. I only have 120. And finally, the acreage. I have 45 acres. How many acres am I planting? Well, however many with wheat plus however many with corn. Okay, great. And these variables are non-negative for obvious reasons. And my objective is to maximize profit. I just take the profit per acre of wheat times how many acres of wheat I planted. Likewise for corn. So how do I take this mathematical model, which is essentially a representation of this story that was originally in English, in the language of mathematics. I want to take this and feed this to a computer to find the answer. So let's translate that into the Excel solver model. In every Excel model, you're going to need to replicate all the components of the math model in the sheet. That means every variable has to be represented, every constraint has to be represented, and the objective has to be represented. So for every variable in your math model, you need a cell in Excel that will play the role of that variable. It's an unknown number that you want Solver to find for you. So I'm going to use cell B4 to represent the wheat variable, the W variable, and cell C4 to represent the C variable, corn. And I'm painting them gray to highlight them, that they're special. Great. Because this model is quite simple and small, we can approach it the following way. Take every variable in the model and look through the constraints and find what are the numbers multiplying that variable in that constraint. For W, it's 3, 2, and 1. So I'm going to put these numbers right below the cell the cell that I reserved for the wheat variable. 3, 2, and 1. Let me center all this so that it looks a little prettier. And let me label these rows so that I know what these numbers are talking about. So this is about labor, fertilizer, and this is land. I also want to add below the wheat variable the number that appears multiplying it in my objective function, which right now is my profit. So for wheat, that number is 200. You'll see why I'm putting them below them in a minute. Let's do the same thing for corn. The numbers are 2, 4, 1, and 300. So 2, 4, 1, and 300. Great. Now, for every constraint in your math, you're going to need 3 cells in Excel. One cell to represent or to contain the formula on the left-hand side, one cell for the symbol, and one cell for the number or formula that might be on the right-hand side. All of these are less than or equal constraints, so let me write these 3 symbols here. And the symbols are mostly for us to be able to come back to this sheet and read it more easily. It's not really that Excel needs them, but it's nice to have that there. The numbers on the right-hand sides of the symbols are, for each constraint, 100, 120, and 45. Now, on the left-hand side is when we need to build formulas, because these are not fixed numbers, right? They depend on the value of W and C. So in here, in D5, I would like to have this expression 3W plus 2C. And that's why I put the 3 and the 2 here, right? So I could go ahead and do this. 3 times W plus 2 times corn. That would be just fine. However, it's kind of tedious, and imagine if I had a lot more crops and a lot more resources to deal with, this would become very time-consuming and annoying. But this formula follows a pattern that's quite common. Notice that there are 2 rows here, right? And what I'm building here is the following. I take the first times the first, the second times the second. Right? And if this had more crops, I could do the third times the third, etc. Now, whenever you have something like this, which is a number times a variable plus a number times a variable, etc., and the numbers and variables are lined up together like this, either all in a row or in a column, you can use an Excel formula called SUMPRODUCT that will essentially do the exact same thing that I had just typed. But it makes it more compact, because if you have a lot of these, you don't have to be typing all these asterisks and plus signs, right? So the idea is the same. So you take what are the variables you want to multiply, comma, to select all the variables. What are the numbers that you want to multiply those variables respectively, right? So 2 ranges separated by commas. And this will do exactly the same thing. The 3 times the wheat plus the 2 that's behind here, times the corn. Now, notice the formula right below follows a similar pattern in the sense that it is going to be a number times wheat plus another number times corn. Instead of being 3 and 2, the numbers will be 2 and 4. So I could, below, in the cell below here, D6, write another sum product using the same B4, C4, because these are my variables, but instead of doing B5, C5, I would do B6, C6. But I could save even more time by, instead of just typing this formula again, I could just copy this formula that is here in D5 into D6. The only thing I have to do before I copy is to say, look, the formula below is almost like this one, but there's a difference. The B4 and C4 is going to repeat, is going to stay constant. And what's going to change is the B5, C5. That's going to become B6, C6. So to tell Excel that I want a piece of a formula to stay constant when I copy it, I use those dollar signs, right? So if I select the range of cells and dollarize it, and I can do this by manually typing the dollars in, or if you want to do it like I did, with one click. If you're using Windows, you can press F4 or hold down the function key and then F4 depending on your keyboard configuration. If you're using Mac, Command T will do that for you after you select the range. When I do this here and I copy that down, notice what happens here is that the B4, C4 stayed constant because it's the same WC variables in every formula. But the numbers moved from 3, 2 to become 2, 4. And likewise, the next one, similar thing happened. The numbers moved again to be 1, 1. Notice that the profit formula also follows this pattern. It's 2 numbers times the 2 variables. So I could still copy this one more time to make the profit, right? And now I have 200 times W variable plus 300 times the corn variable. Great. And these are all the formulas we need for this model. So now we can go into the solver window and explain to solver where everything is to get the answer for the problem. So click on Data, Solver, and here we go. What it's asking here in the set objective cell is what is the cell in your sheet that has the formula that you're either maximizing or minimizing. This is going to be our profit formula, which turns out to be in D8. It's a max problem. If it was a min, you just click here to change it. Oh, wait a second. This was already made. Haha. Let me erase and do everything from the beginning. So, objective, D8. Maximize. By changing variable cells. Well, this is solver asking you which are the cells that contain or that are playing the role of your variables, the numbers you want me, solver, to find. And these are going to be my range from B4 through C4. For constraints, you click the Add button here. And it's going to ask you what is the cell that contains the formula on the left, what is the symbol in the middle, what is the cell that contains the formula on the right, formula or number on the right. For us here, we have to say labor used, D5, less than or equal to labor available, F5. If the symbol were different, let's say greater or equal, just open this drop-down list here and choose whatever you need. And because we're not done, I click Add to keep going. The amount of fertilizer used at the most, amount of fertilizer available, that is to say the number in D6, that's what I put on the left, less than or equal to the number in F6. F6 is what I put on the right. And the last constraint, amount of land used in D7, at the most amount of land available in F7. Okay. Now, because all of these 3 constraints the layout is such that they are stacked on top of each other. And they have the same symbol, because these two things happen. I could have done this differently. Actually, in a single shot, I could have said the following. I would like these three cells here, D5 through 7, to be less than or equal to these three cells here, F5 through 7. Okay, so this will have the same effect as adding them in one at a time, like we did. Because I don't need to do these things twice, I'm going to cancel here so we don't add that in. Great. What else is missing here? We have to say, well, our variables are non-negative, and this is accomplished by clicking this box, make and constrain variables non-negative. And finally, the solving method. The default is the non-linear solver, but we are dealing with linear programming problems where all formulas are linear formulas. So I'm going to change this to this one called simplex LP, where LP stands for linear programming. Always make that change when you're solving linear programming problems. And at this point, we can click solve. What solver will do is will calculate the answer and fill in the gray cells what the answer should be, and it will tell us also what the profit is. Let's see. Here you go. What is it saying? Well, you should plant 20 acres with each of these two crops, and you're going to get $10,000 in profit. Notice I had 45 acres, but I only used 40. Why is that? Well, the reason is that you run out of the other two resources, right? So land is not your only resource. Labor and fertilizer, of course, also play a role. So before you worry about getting any more land, you should actually first worry about getting more labor and fertilizer. All right, so this is one of our very first optimization examples. It's a good introductory example for those who have never seen this before. I hope this was helpful to you. Also, if you want another introductory example, check out my Lego furniture example that I'm going to post a link to it in the description below. Hope to see you back here for more videos. Until then, bye-bye.